Yeah, let me see here. I guess the place to start here is with a date. It's August 22nd, 2018. It's almost 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Don't know where to start. Don't know where to end. Really don't know. Don't really know. Last year at this time, I was dealing with PTSD, trying to get my head wrapped around like I'd been doing for 7 years, on the fact that my life depended on running on a battery that was buried in my chest called a pacemaker. And then there was a recall on the news. Went and looked up. My pacemaker was one that was on recall. The battery could suddenly fail. Well, I immediately called the manufacturer, and they told me to get a hold of my cardiologist right away. Okay, well, the next day or two I went to the cardiologist's office. Didn't even have an appointment. There was nobody there. Told the nurse what was going on. She went and told the doctor. He come back meandering down his hallway. And I says, don't worry about it. I says, what? And he says, are you feeling okay? And I said, well, yeah, I'm feeling okay, but I'm supposed to get a hold of you immediately. He says, well, if you get to feeling bad, just go to the emergency room. He turned around and walked away. That's pretty much it. Tried to say something more to him. He just kept on walking. So my PTSD just climbed about 10 levels. Now I was already in trouble health-wise. I had neuropathy in my feet. Couldn't hardly walk on them but a couple hours a day. I was walking on glass, sharp glass. That's what it felt like I was walking on every time I took a step. Wasn't comfortable at all. Had a breathing problem with asthma and COPD. I was living in an environment with African greys that give off a real fine powder that you're not supposed to breathe even if you don't have a pulmonary problem. But I'd bought about $800 worth of filters and put them around the house to see if that would help. But I was doing an emergency inhaler I don't know how many times a day. I couldn't even work anymore. Wasn't able to go to the shop next door and work. Wife was giving me her tramadols that she had for her back, giving me 2 pills at a time. I don't know how many times a day. It was almost like it was a repeat of 2011 when she was giving me her naproxen that was 500 milligrams a tablet, giving me 2 tablets at a time, at least 10, 12 times a day. For about 7 days, I ended up in the hospital, and that's when I got my pacemaker. I didn't know that stuff could kill me. And at the time, I was in so much pain, I didn't care. I was ready to die. Well, here I was, about in the same shape again. It's so difficult to get your head in the position to think about the person you have loved, watched over, cared for, protected, helped for 37 years, that person may actually be trying to kill you. So difficult to, when you got so many other things going on too. But I am really, in hindsight now, considering it all, now seeing what her actual potential is that I couldn't see before, I really am pretty damn convinced that that's what it was all about. She wanted to get me out of the way for some reason. That sounds crazy. I sound crazy. I sound crazy to myself, even thinking that way, but looking back on it, anyhow, back to the subject. I was under a lot of stress due to the recall. She didn't seem to care. I guess it's sort of like hindsight. You know, you trying to keep from getting the cart in front of the horse here and keep the cart going in the right direction. But well, I don't know. It was a few weeks later. I ended up. She's just pressing me, trying to push me to what I always called extremes. She wanted me to go to anger, mad extremes. I don't do that. The most I do is I sit down and logic and reason with you. I want to sit down, let's reason one with another and find out what's going on here and why. Yes, I'm upset. Yeah, I'm upset, but you know, I'm upset at what you're doing or not doing. I'm not upset at you. Let's see what we can do about correcting this situation. That's me. Now, yes, I suppose some people could say that becomes abusive because I might lecture. She called it lecture. I might be ministering and meditating on the situation for maybe an hour or two, maybe 3. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here and what we could do about it, and so we don't have to go through this again. I call it meditating, not lecturing, but that's what she called it. She also said I was hyper, and I told her, no, I'm not hyper, I'm enthusiastic. I mean, she always had the negative side of everything. My wife's mental, emotional health got bad for some reason. She's got a background of abuse that apparently was a lot worse than I thought. That or her paranoia, her mental illness was just a lot worse for no reason than what I thought it was. Anyhow, she kept it up, pressing me, and I kept telling her I can't take this. I'm basically disabled at the time. I'm lucky if I can get up and get out of the couch to go to the bathroom. That's how bad a shape I was. I mean, it took an awful lot of motivation to go to the bathroom because the motivation was I don't want to go on myself. So I managed to get to the bathroom and then managed to get back on the couch. She kept pressing me. And I told her one night I went out to the kitchen to get something to drink or something, I don't know. And I told her, I said, if you don't stop this, I'm going to have to call the cops or I'm going to have to go to the hospital. And I meant to say EMTs, but I said cops. Reason to go to the hospital was on my own, you know, or call the EMTs. Called the EMTs, you know, might as well go to the hospital. Because I thought I was having a heart attack. She just wouldn't, all day she would not leave me be. Just pressing me all damn day. Would not stop, and I finally told her, I said, this is it, I can't take no more. I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack standing there in the kitchen. I said, if you don't stop it, I'm going to have to call the cops. And I meant EMTs, or I'm going to have to go to the hospital. She just stood there. She kept it up. Well, I walked right past her in my stocking feet, my shorts and my T-shirt, and went out and got in the car, drove myself to the hospital. Went in the emergency room, checked in. She never followed me. She didn't come down there. I don't know how many hours it was later. The doctor wanted to check me in the morning. Had me a room waiting, wanted to do some more tests. And he assured me, he said, don't believe you've had a heart attack. There's no indication that you were. What kind of pains were you having? I told him, he said, that's not heart attack, that's stress. You got any problems under a lot of stress at work or something? I said, well, at home, yeah. And he said, well, that's it, it's stress. You're not having a heart attack, but I'd like to keep you over for observation for a day or two. And I said, well, okay. At which time he left, and I told the nurse, I said, I need to call my wife. Is she here? She says, no, nobody showed up for me, but you don't need to call your wife, you need to call your son. Huh? I said, oh, I need to call my wife, I don't need to call my son. How do you know about my son? Well, you need to call him, not your wife. Huh? So I called my son. Apparently she had called my son. Rather than follow me to the hospital to see if I'm okay, she calls my son. My son's talking to me on the phone, wants to know what's going on. I tell him, he says, no, I mean, what's going on at home? I said, well, I don't want to get into that right now. I'm in the hospital, in the emergency room. You know, he wants to know what's going on at home. I'm in the emergency room of the hospital, for God's sakes. You know, And I tell him I'm going to be probably checking in, and they're going to keep me for the night. And he said, then you'll be there in the morning. I said, well, yeah, I guess. You know, they're going to get me a room here in about an hour. All right, then I'll see you in the morning. I said, see me in the morning? He said, yeah, I'll be up there in the morning. So I hung up. I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, this is bull crap. She called him. She's escalated this. What the hell is she up to? So I told the doctor, told the nurse, I'm going home. Signed myself out and went home. Nobody's at home. I ain't there about 20 minutes, and in comes my son and my wife. Comes in the door. My wife proceeds to sit down in the living room, and he starts yelling and screaming at me. Well, I go into my office, sit down there by my computer, my desk, my work area, computer work area, and he starts reaming me one act up the other. Who in the hell do I think I am, leaving the hospital, this and that and whatever. He's not concerned about me. He's just reaming my butt out. I sat there and I listened. I don't need this crap. I mean, that's why I went to the hospital. I don't need more stress pains. I'm not going to be put into a heart attack because of this crap, so I'm just sitting there letting him vent. And he wants to know what's going on between her and me, and he said something about, well, she loves you. And I said, look, it's not love I need right now. I need respect, and she's not giving me respect. And he barks at me about, you know, don't talk to me about respect. You got a lot of nerve talking to me about respect. I mean, he's doing exactly why I told her never to call him about me going in the hospital or anything else until we got it sorted out, because he'll just escalate it, and that's exactly what he was doing. Meantime, she's sitting in the living room, just sitting there. She didn't even put her purse away. She still had her purse in her lap. Well, I'd taken about all I could, and I told him, I says, you know, blah, 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 and I turned to look around, I don't know, to look at something, and he said, what are you doing, looking to call the police? My phone was in that direction, I guess. I looked at him, and next thing he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll call the police. And he stomps out of my office, goes out in the living room, and starts yelling at me out there. My wife's sitting there doing nothing. And I looked at her and I said, see, now this is why I told you never to call him, because all he's done now is escalated this. And he said, well, I'm calling police, and he leaves the room, leaves the house. I look at her and I said, see, now he's going to call the police, and he's going to escalate this just like I figured he would do, and that's why I told you never to call him about anything. So you better call him, tell him to stop. Oh, she went and got on the phone, called him, and I heard her say, don't call the police, Marty, please don't call the police. Why would he want to call the police? I had done nothing to him or her. I don't know why. I mean, he's just going to escalate it, that's all. Well, that was the end of that. Didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. And then I got a call. I finally got a call through to him. He apologized to me on the phone and said he had no business sticking his nose in there. I said, that's right, you had no business. He said, well, I was out of line. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm ready to die. I mean, I can't breathe. I can't walk. I'm not doing too good a shape, and I'm in pain like you wouldn't believe. And I'm talking to him on the phone. I said, you and I need to sit down and talk. I said, there's some legal things I think I need to go over with you. Well, you know, I don't want to do that. You know, I said, well, I don't want to either, but I need to sit down and talk with you. I'm looking to make my will out and do some changings on my will for his sake. There were some things I needed to talk to him about, but he did. Well, I will see. And then that was the end of that conversation. I don't know. It was probably a couple weeks later. She pulled her stuff on October 20, whatever, 19th, 20th, whatever it was. Set me up. I should have gone to the hospital that day. But I think that was part of the setup the month before. Was I went to the hospital, and then she called him, and I think she was looking to set me up then. I don't know what her game was. But it didn't work, because I kept calm and calmed his ass down, got him out of there. But yeah, she set me up trying to, and then she managed to do it again. This time she had me arrested and removed from my home, my business, and everything. I'm ready to die anyhow. I don't care. Cops arrest me. I said, I got to put my shoes on. I can't walk on this. I walked in my bare feet with no shoes, down the driveway into the cruiser, walked around at the county jail getting assigned and all this stuff. Walked around out at the annex. Finally got a bunk and some little click-clacks or something to put on my feet. The next morning I got bailed out. I had to walk across it's at least 2 football fields without any shoes, on stone and gravel with my feet. I think she figured that would do me in, getting me arrested. I think she figured that would do me in. I figured I was going to die, but I didn't. Well, bail bondsman picked me up and picked up my car at my son's house that she had either delivered there or had somebody deliver it there with some clothes and stuff in it. Son wouldn't talk to me. She had unloaded a bunch of false allegations on him like you would not believe. I don't know what all they were, but he says, well, you blistered her ass with a belt. I said, no such thing happened. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Get in your car and get out of here. Don't come back. I don't want to talk to you. This is not the time. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't even get a chance to talk. I left. Well, I spent the next 2 weeks in withdrawal. Withdrawal from tramadol. It's got an opiate in it. And I think withdrawal from hydrocodone, because I think she'd been getting hydrocodone from a neighbor that she was taking for her own back, and I think she had been slipping some of that in on me in the last week, because I was having body highs during that last week that I could not understand. I just assumed that, these tramadols are finally starting to take effects. I mean, I'm having a body high I felt like I could go out and conquer the world until I'd get up to go walk to the bathroom, and then I'm walking back on glass again, so that put me back down. But body high, overall well-being feeling in my body was just overwhelming. I never had felt that way in my life. And I told her at the time, I said, boy, those tramadols are starting to, they must be really starting to work, because, man, I've got, I guess you could call it a body high right now that I just feel so good. And she's, oh, really? I think she'd been giving me tramadol, and then she switched over to hydrocodone she was getting from somebody. And it was massive doses to boot. So I spent the next 2 weeks staying in motels, sleeping in the back seat of my car. Well, I'm going to get a little ahead of myself. Got out on Saturday. Went to the bail bondsman. On Monday, they told me to get my... I had got a senior moment here. I had got a counseling session set up with the mental health facility for marriage counseling that was due Thursday, and they suggested that I try to get that counseling session moved back. Well, okay, they were going to let me go in on a Tuesday, so I went in on a Tuesday. While I'm talking to them on the phone trying to get them to do that, they're telling me that Pamela's already called and said she won't be coming. It was supposed to be marital counseling for both of us. Well, I went anyhow. And I went for 6 months, at least 6 months. Now, there were 6 weeks period there that I didn't go. Yeah. First thing the man said to me, who was supposed to be a marriage counselor, well, that's what I thought I was going there for, was you need to divorce your wife. What? I just got out of jail Saturday, and this is Tuesday, and he's telling me I need to divorce my wife. And he looked at the charges, and he said, you need to get yourself an attorney. And he says, and don't get no public defender. And he says, you do what you want, but I can't tell you, give you legal advice, but you need to get yourself a paid attorney, not that. And I said, really? And he says, yeah, this is pretty serious charges. I said, serious charges? He said, yeah, 3rd-degree felony? That's a pretty serious charge. I don't know nothing about that stuff. So I went and got an attorney the next day. It's a long story. Longer than I care to talk about. Really, much longer than I care to talk about. But, Murphy's Law, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's Murphy's Law. Gonna rain, it pours. Anyhow, the following week, there was a scheduled hearing on the, what do you call it, the protective order Well, I read the protective order, and it sure sounded to me like they were going to take my service dog away from me, because my therapist got my service dog that day for me. When I said something about my service dog, he said, "You got a service dog?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What's it for?" And I told him, and he says, "We'll get you." He left the room, called Adult Protective Service, and gave them an order to get me my service dog immediately. I had it the next day. Timelines. Boy, if I'd had a phone that I knew how to use, that I could have gotten to my Facebook account, I could have been kept in the timeline. But, I wasn't doing too well at the time, was thinking or any damn thing else, because I was going through withdrawal. I lost 35 pounds in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I lost 35 pounds. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating at all. 35 pounds in 3 weeks. I couldn't eat, and all I was doing was dumping. If I even looked at food, I would dump. I couldn't eat and hold anything down. It went right straight through me. I had nothing left at the end of 2 weeks before I went to the hospital. Now, I'm still suffering PTSD, remember, from the pacemaker being on recall, the battery could fail. Well, I thought they were going to take my service dog away from me on this protective order hearing. I didn't know for sure what it was about. Took it to my attorney. Well, he was out of town. I took the paper to my attorney. He was out of town. He'd get a hold of me. Never did get a hold of me. Well, the following Monday night, I think it was Tuesday, I was supposed to go to the hearing. I'm figuring they're going to take my service dog away from me and they're going to lock me up in jail. I was convinced of the way it sounded, that's what it was going to be. I've never been in trouble with law. I don't understand this stuff. And I'm laying there in my hotel and I'm thinking, they can't take me to jail with this pacemaker in me that could fail. What am I going to do? Okay, here's where a lunatic comes in. I'm still cold turkey, and I'm still in withdrawal from these drugs, and I'm not thinking too well. And I wasn't taking any more of them. There's the other. I missed that deal. I was talking to the housekeeper at the hotel, I don't know, a day or two before. And I had not been taking any more medication. But she'd packed all my medications, including her tramadol. God, I wish I'd have kept those. I don't know. My wife set me up to get rid of me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts in there, and she wasn't going to be satisfied with just getting rid of me. She wanted me locked up. She wanted me dead. She wanted me out of the picture. If she was giving me tramadol, if she was putting hydrocodone in that bottle of pills, probably figuring I would take that while I was out on the street, which I did not. I didn't even take my vitamins. I wasn't taking anything. I didn't know I was having withdrawal, but I wasn't taking nothing. I don't like taking pills anyhow. But I didn't take none after I got out of jail. I didn't take nothing. But prior to that Monday night, when I was supposed to go to court the next day, I talked to a lady at the motel and said something about my medications and tramadol. And she said, "Oh, God, you taking tramadol? Well, that can really mess with your mind." I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "It's the wife's prescription. She put them in there with mine. So she's got some compassion. She gave me some pain pills for my neuropathy in my feet." And she says, "Your wife gave you her pain pills?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Oh, you can't have those." I said, "What do you mean I can't have those?" I said, "It's in her prescription bottle." She says, "Oh, if the cops catch you with a prescription bottle for somebody else that's pain pills like that, they will arrest you." I said, "What?" She said, "Oh, yeah, I had my husband's prescription in my car, and the cops stopped me once, saw that, and they arrested me. I went to jail." And I'm figuring, "Oh, God, I don't want to go to jail." And she said, "Yeah, if the cops catch you with that, they will arrest you." Now, I had already taken those pills into my attorney the week before, and he had logged all of those pills, wrote them down. I watched him do it. And I know he knows that those pills were my wife's pills, because it said so right on the bottle. He never said a word to me about it. that, where did you get these? I made note of them. I said, those ones there, the tramadols, were my wife's that she put in there with me because I'd been taking those for my neuropathy. Never said a word to me about it being illegal for me to have those. If I had been stopped by the cops, I would have gone to jail from what this housekeeper told me at the motel. Well, that day she told me that, I went right back to my motel room, went in there and got the pills out, and I dumped everything. I mean, I dumped everything. My prescription medications, her tramadol medications, even my vitamins. I'd been taking vitamin B12 and so forth. I dumped everything. I kept the bottles. Yeah, I kept those. But I dumped everything. I didn't want to have any pills in anything. And here's where the real curious factor comes in. Okay. Thinking I was going to go to jail the next day, I want to make sure that I didn't go to jail with the pacemaker in me that could fail. So I cut my damn pacemaker out. Now I was in withdrawal. She had me so spiked out on those pain pills I couldn't feel a thing. And I hadn't taken any in about 2 weeks. I managed to cut my pacemaker out and laid it on my chest. My service dog's with me. Well, I fell asleep. No problem. Woke up and something just panicked me and said, you know, they'll just take this pacemaker and they'll shove it back in your chest and they'll stitch it up. In the emergency room, probably send you right on to jail. And that was my thinking. I figured I'll fix that, so I reached over and got my little needle nose pliers that I'd pulled it out with, and I snipped both leads, took the pacemaker and stuck it in my pocket. And then I lay in there in bed and I'm realizing, you know, my heart had slowed down and my dog knew it. She knew it. She knew my heart had slowed down. So I got up and started moving around the motel. It's going on 4:30 in the morning, I think, approximately. I figured I've only got a couple hours before I go to court. I think it was like at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, something like that. If I can just stay up and keep moving, it'll keep my heart rate up. Because I had a thing called bradycardia. My heart had no bottom limit. And as long as I was active, I could keep my heart rate up. So I figured if I keep moving around, I'll be okay. Well, I was moving around as much as I could. You know, how much can you pace back and forth in the motel room? My dog's all upset because she knows my heart rate's down. Something's wrong. Well, I sat down, tried to comfort her. Well, she got even more upset. Well, at that point, I'm figuring I'm not feeling too good, so I figured I probably should go to the hospital. I called the hospital. I says, okay, I've got a service dog with me. I says, can I bring her with me? He says, oh, no, we can't have no dogs in the hospital. I said, she's a service dog. No, can't have no dogs in the hospital. You have to take her someplace or have somebody pick her up before you can't bring her in here. I said, well, I'm in a motel room right now, and I says, I need to find someplace to put my dog, but I need to get into the hospital. Oh, what's your nature of your problem? I said, well, I'll let you know that when I get there. You can't bring it in. So I called the police, see if they can take the dog back to my wife in Burnett. Well, they can't do that. They say that that's out of their jurisdiction. Never thought of calling a sheriff. Anyhow, eventually, I'm in such bad shape that finally I told them where I was and what I'd done, and here comes the cops. They show up. Officer wants to see where my pacemaker's at. I lifted up my shirt and showed him where I'd cut it out. I had duct tape holding the wound together. He wanted to see the pacemaker, so I pulled out of my pocket and handed it to him. And he gets on his radio, got the pacemaker in my hand. He did cut his pacemaker out. Well, here comes the ambulance. And that's basically the last thing I remember other than being in the hospital for 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks I was in the hospital. I've been through hell. And this is just the beginning of it. This was just the beginning of it. Of course, I had been going through hell at home for approximately the last 7 years, too. I didn't realize it, but I wasn't in that bad a shape like I was at the end here. I really think that she couldn't accomplish what she did in 2011. I think she was trying to accomplish it in 2017. And she damn near did, because I was ready to die. I figured I was going to die at home. You just know what you know. I can remember sitting in the living room just about this time last year. I mean, this time of the month. And I'd be dozing off in my recliner. And I'd doze off, and I wasn't passing out, I don't think. I was just dozing off and coming back and dozing off. I was aware that she'd come in the door. And I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, and she's standing there, not completely in the living room, just sort of peeking in around the corner, looking towards me. And I would sort of move ahead enough to get a little more peripheral vision. And then she'd duck back. You know that you know. I know damn well she was peeking around that corner to see if I was still alive. I know it. You know that you know. I didn't know it at the time. I really didn't know that at the time. I deduced this later on, in retrospect, looking back on things. Yes, a narcissist can just as easily kill you or themselves rather than be exposed. And that's what she is, a pathological narcissist. If she'd have got away with it, it would have just looked like I had overdosed on medications, like I had gotten a hold of some naproxen on my own, or hydrocodone on my own, and overdosed on it. That's what she was looking for in 2011, me overdosing, and it would have just been reported that he died from an overdose. How many men out there are dying today from overdoses on drugs, prescription medications, that their wives are giving to them? Somebody needs to look into that. Because when we're in pain, we don't have the same threshold of pain that women do. Maybe she didn't do it on purpose. Maybe women have a higher threshold of pain, so she maybe took 2 and that was helping her, so she figured 2 would help me. But my God, 7, 10, 12 times a day? I don't think so. That's an intent right there, in my opinion. Can't prove this? No, I can't prove it. I even tried to talk to my attorneys, my defense attorney's staff, told them, they said, well, you can't prove it. No, I can't. If she was the last person on earth and I was the last person on earth, and she had food and I didn't have any, I wouldn't go near her, let alone eat her food. That's how little trust I'd have of her. I'd starve to death out in the wilderness than to come in and sit down and eat with her. I don't trust her, and I'm not paranoid, but I wouldn't trust her. I'd eat grass. I'd eat weeds before I'd eat anything she'd offer me. I know what I know, what I know. Here's the scary thing about it. Here's the real scary thing about it. She tried at least twice with me. She's going to try again with somebody else. You mark my words. Somebody connected with her is going to die. It won't be me, because I ain't going to be around her. Now, if I should suddenly meet my maker, even if it looks accidental, I hope somebody's got enough damn sense to investigate it. But she's almost got away with it twice with me. Next time she may not be quite so careful, and she will get the next guy. And mark my words, she will kill the next person. If she don't kill herself, she'll kill somebody. Especially if she ends up with a boyfriend. And if you're her boyfriend, I don't think she would have a boyfriend. I don't know who in the hell would want her. But she's a narcissist. She likes to use people, so she may be using some guy, love bombing the hell out of him, and if she is, God help you. And if she ain't now, she will be later on, so God help you. Wherever I am, if I'm still in this world or if I'm not, if there's anybody connected with her in any kind of relationship whatsoever, they don't even have to be living with her. But if they suddenly die, I hope somebody's got enough sense to look into it. Because I think she's perfected her. I don't know. Making, this is like What was it, that thing that what's his name was in about trying to prevent future crimes before they happened? Well, if you prevent it before they happen, how do you prosecute the person? If you're trying to tell somebody about something that hasn't happened yet, you know, who's going to pay any attention to you? They think you're crazy. She damn near got me in 2011. She damn near got me several times before then, but she set me up in situations where somebody else would have done the act of killing me. Her ex-husband had a gun on me twice in the first few years, me trying to negotiate with him about some kind of fair and equitable settlement as far as the kids visiting and having visitation with their mother. And she put me up to that. This woman is dangerous, people. I'm telling you that right now. And that's probably all I need to say here. I'm giving all these other details to try to explain just how conniving and how diabolical she is. So maybe I ought to just erase this and just say it that way. I don't know. I've left enough on my computers that if something happens to me, but then I've already realized, I've seen it with other senior citizens here in the apartment complex, when they die or they're put into a nursing home, their personal effects goes to the dumpster. Somebody takes their crap, and then somebody cannibalizes their computers and stuff. I've got one sitting in the living room that I pulled out of the trash the other day. I bought it home, I've cannibalized it, I've looked at it, and whatever's wrong with it, I think I'm going to be able to fix it real cheap for less than probably 20 bucks. And I've got me another computer. It'll be interesting to see what might be on the hard drive once I get it going. It may not be anything on it. Maybe somebody was wise enough to erase it before they threw it in the dumpster. But I fired it up. It's working. It just needs a new battery in it, and I need to get a keyboard that'll work with it, because it's the old type keyboard that doesn't work. So I doubt if any of this stuff that's on my computer will be even seen. Nobody knows about technology, and they just throw this stuff away. I've put stuff on YouTube, figuring, well, they could throw the computer away, but it's on YouTube. Unfortunately, it's private, so nobody's going to see it unless they know how to get to it. I had it on public for a while, and I figured, ooh, this ain't too good being on public. Some of the things I'm saying, I don't know what attorney might come after me and want to sue me because I'm bringing defamation of his character, and he did not do the damn job. If he'd have looked into her damn finances, looked into her stuff, he'd have realized that no wonder this woman's accusing him of all this stuff. She's scared to death. What she's doing to this man, I mean, I should have had the question, do you know she hasn't made any of her payments on her taxes? No, I didn't know that. We always paid them in July, or in, I should have been asked questions. But like I say, I only had, this is such a waste of time. I don't want to say this, but I can understand some of these people that have said, well, I'm a broken man. I'm a broken man, and then they do something stupid. Oh, I'm not going to do anything stupid. I've done all the stupid I'm going to do. There ain't no more stupid left for me. I'm not going to do that kind of stuff. No. Matter of fact, I want her to live as long and longer as she can. Matter of fact, I'll get great joy knowing she's living a very long life. Because if she ever gets a conscience, it's going to be hell to play for her, living with what she has done with 4 children, a previous husband, done to me. I want her to live a long time. I don't want her leaving this world until she gets a conscience. Even if that takes 20 years, 30 years. I hope she lives to be 120. The longer she lives, the longer she's going to have to live with a conscience. I don't care if she gets a conscience in the last 3 minutes of her life, and know it's going to be rough. That's my revenge, is she lives long enough to get a conscience and then has to deal with what she's done. Of course, it'll probably be my luck. She'll end up with a conscience and have Alzheimer's and not remember a damn thing. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, there's no justice. There's no justice at all. That's unbelievable. Well, it's been 38 minutes. Have I said anything on here that would get me convicted of a crime? I don't think so.